this episode, but this episode is specifically for our brothers and sisters down in Argentina right now who are fighting against the system just like we are, and for all of the people out there whose ancestors were negatively affected by Peronism, who reached out to me. You guys reached out to me in overwhelming emails, and I'm so happy to be able to talk about this tonight with Janine. I have no idea what the cards are going to say. I don't think Janine does either. But if you did not see our part one, I'm going to put that down in the description box below if you don't know who this person is, because we're not going to go into too much detail about the whole timeline of her life. So please go ahead and watch part one first. If you don't know who Evita was, or Eva Perón, please do that first so you're not lost in this video. How you doing, Janine?
Good. How are you doing?
Super, super good and super, super excited. All right, you ready to get started?
Yep.
Okay, so Eva Perón, or Eva Duarte as she was born in 1919 in a very poor town in Argentina. She grew to become a radio star at first because, of course, this was right when Hollywood and the entertainment industry was first radio. And then she ended up meeting Juan Perón, whom she married. They became the leaders of Argentina. History books will say president. Most people call him a dictator. He is the one who brought in, we'll say, the Axis side, so the N-word from World War II, the bad guys, the Axis forces, into Argentina. The ones that did not get their justice in the Nuremberg trials. And so, but her story has been very sensationalized. So there's a lot of red flags. Now that we're awake and we understand it, there are a lot of red flags. Here comes Tom. There are a lot of red flags in her story that just shout out to me, dark arts, we'll say, that were involved in this situation. So my first question to you is the story we've been told about Eva Perón true or not? Hey, Tom.
Hey, girls.
I've already hit record just to get us on a time frame, and I just asked Janine to read if Eva Perón, Evita from Argentina, if the story we were told about her was true or not.
Cool.
So, are you familiar with Eva Perón, Tom? Do you know a lot about her story?
Is she Evita?
Mm-hmm. Madonna.
I just know Madonna did a thing about. I don't really know about it though.
Which we're going to get to that later on, because that's super suspect. The fact that Madonna played her. So yeah, very, very weird story.
Hey, Janine.
Hey, there's some things true about it, but a whole bunch of not true about it. So it looks like it's got some truth. So we've got that page. So a very small amount is true. They embellished a lot about it, including her background. I feel like they might have made up her background. I wonder if she really was born into a poor family. I wonder if she might have been a bloodline family.
So this is my next question, actually, because both of her parents, their lineage is from the Basque region of Europe, which is between Spain and France, the Pyrenees. That's the highest concentrate of Rh negative blood group. Now, her father allegedly was a man named Juan Duarte, and he was very wealthy, but he had a legal family, and then he had a mistress who had Evita with her siblings, and they were super poor. And when he died, they didn't get anything. It's the story. That's the story that was told. Now, the interesting thing is she ended up in Buenos Aires at 15 years old. Now, the folklore is that she was having an affair with some musician in Argentina at that time, and that's how she got into Buenos Aires. But then other people are saying, oh, no, that's not true. That's just, a false story. It was her mother that brought her. But now that we know what we know about the dark arts, I'm wondering if the folklore story was actually true, or she was possibly pimped out, as we know they do. As a young girl at 15 to this tango singer. I can't remember his name, so forgive me. It's in again, if you guys haven't seen the first video, please watch it. It's in the description box below before proceeding with this one, so it all makes sense.
It seems like she might have been, as you called it, pimped out. Because the reason she was met the guy had something to do with money, and it wasn't really to her advantage. So she's not making money from it. Somebody else was. So maybe somebody was exchanging money for the use of her, unfortunately.
Was her family involved in the dark arts?
Her dad, I get.
Okay, that makes sense because he was wealthy.
Yeah, this is a wealthy man was involved who could be related to her. So I'm going to assume that's her dad.
Interesting. Yeah. There's something weird around one of her brothers too. One of her older brothers that he kind of, after the father died, it's very hazy about what he did. There's some stuff he did to get the family secure. And I'm wondering if he maybe knew something about their biological. Is that the brother?
That's the dark cult card. That's my deep state dark cult. And I feel like that's weaving all the way through the background of her story.
Okay.
So she would have been brought up, maybe even like mind altered, you know what
I was
I
about
mean?
to ask my next question. Was she under mind control?
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
like, what do they
I
call
get
them
it,
now?
yes. Yeah, an ace, so I get a yes.
They call them sex kittens. Is that it? What they call those girls?
Yep, yep.
And
So,
so,
yeah, I think she was even younger than that 15 that they're saying. I think she was younger.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me. I kind of got that again so we're going to get to this down the road, but I am familiar with Evita because when I was a child, my mother was it was really important to my mother that my sister and I be very well educated in the arts. You know, we took piano, we took theater, and she would bring us to the theater all the time. So I knew every play. And so I always knew about Evita because of the play, the musical, which we're going to get to.
Yeah.
And it really it sensationalized her story. But let's go down her life first. Now, when she got to Buenos Aires, she became a radio star, which we know about entertainment industry, radio back then, television, what they're using that for. So was she placed in that position as a radio star to help promote false information? Yep.
You bet. So that's everything about how she got that job was false and falsified. So now we've got somebody who's not who they say they are, doesn't have the background they said they did. And so she was placed.
Yeah. I knew it. Y'all, before the Great Awakening, I just thought this was a beautiful Cinderella story. But the minute you go back and look at this shit, it literally, it's like Hollywood today. It's like our actors today. They're placed there by the three-letter agencies. I knew it. And she bleached her hair blonde as well, which we see a lot with these quote unquote sex kittens, because she was very, she was from South America. She was very olive skinned, dark, beautiful woman. And then she bleached her hair blonde when she got to Buenos Aires. Reminds me a lot of like Madonna, which we're going to get to because Madonna played her. All right. Her husband, Juan Perón. So he was, I believe, 24 years older than her when they met. Now they met at a gala for a earthquake that had happened in San Juan, Argentina, which, celebrities do this all the time. They did this for Katrina, all these natural disasters. They have these big events and then they raise money and then they do their parties. And it's almost like a celebration for them. And we used to clap for them for doing this. Now we realize there's dubious stuff behind that. Now, again, her husband was 24 years older than her. I don't have a problem with there being an age gap in relationships. My boyfriend's 10 years older than me. However, that kind of was like a red flag to me because she was in her 20s and he was pushing 50. She was his second wife. He was the leader. He wasn't the president yet, but with her help, she started using her radio program to promote this idea of what's called Peronism, which is very much a dictatorship. It turned to a dictatorship.
He was really dysfunctional and hard to handle. And he wasn't going to get very far in his political career without some help. So they placed her to give to guide him.
Was she like his handler?
Yeah, she was like a handler, even though she was a lot younger. But he was literally floundering or whatever that word is.
Yeah.
He had a lot of bad habits and he was always just falling flat when it came to sort of things that he was they had him all placed to be a leader, but he was always pushing it. Probably because he had a lot of bad habits, it looks like nefarious substances and party drugs and yeah.
Okay. Well, now that before we get to the next question about her death, was she actually born a female? Never thought I would have to ask that question, but here we are. Here we are in the Great Awakening.
All boy cards.
Wow. All right. This is going to make the next question. So she was born male and switched. Okay. So this is going to make the next question super interesting. So she
Oh, boy.
died. Get this, guys. Get this, Tom numbers. Guess how old she was when she died?
27.
33.
Oh,
33.
Mm.
And she died, quote unquote, of ovarian cancer. Now, I don't know what they do when they switch your sex. I would assume that you wouldn't have ovaries if you were changed from a boy. I just would not, I don't know if they go that far. So is that the true story of how she passed away?
no, that was a strategy. So that was a made up story. So this card's changing words and things written on paper, maybe to suit a narrative, right? Because this guy's switching swords around, swords or thoughts and words to get something to work. So he's moving. So they just moved around the story because she's dark cult. She's a classic. She was swapped gender at birth, raised
Mind
and
control.
placed. We got a Meghan Markle here all over again.
Thank you. That when you said that, I was like, yes, boom, that's it. Okay, so did she really die then at 33? Was she taken out at 33?
Talk about a signal, eh?
I know, right? You literally can't make this up. Like you literally can't.
Quiet.
And she died long before any of us were born, by the way. So apparently died. We'll see.
Okay, all boy cards again. Interesting. Fascinating. Every single card in the thing is a boy, a boy, a boy. Interesting.
Yeah, there's
So I think she didn't die because none of them are death cards. So we have no passing over cards.
so they just moved her basically then. Well, then get this, because this is what happened after she quote unquote died. They had her body embalmed. Her husband had her body embalmed. It's creepy. It's creepy. Actually have one to put in our thumbnail for this. So they had her body embalmed. Soon after she passed away, her husband was the dictator, and there was a military coup, and he was exiled to Spain. They took her body. Apparently, the Vatican shipped her body to Milan, where they buried it, quote unquote, under a fake name. But there was a guy who wrote a book in 1995 about this. I think it's called Santa Evita, where the Vatican allegedly used her body for necrophilia as it was embalmed. Now, now the story gets even weirder. So her husband is exiled to Spain, which was the route from Europe to get to Argentina was through Spain. So he's exiled to Spain at this time. He marries his third wife. They get her body back. His third wife's job now is to brush her hair every morning. Her body is laid out on the dining room table, and she's got to go brush her hair, whatever body that is. And then they bring the body back to Argentina when he's allowed back into Argentina and becomes the dictator again. And they put her body in the Duarte family vault, way far down, like lower than 6 feet down because of vandalism, which screams tunnels to me at this point. So with that being said, can we figure out what the hell was going on with that crazy story of her death? Her quote unquote death is almost as interesting as her life. So was the Vatican using her body for like necrophilia? If y'all don't know what that is, who are watching it, I'm not going to explain it to you. Go look it up. Or whatever body that was.
Unbelievable. Well, they might have been using a body for that, okay? Because this is like this is a famous card. So because she was famous, people wanted
a piece of her.
Yeah. So but I think they must have swapped the body.
Yeah.
Because I don't get she left the earth plane then. Okay, so she had three people calling themselves her. So that clones, doubles, I don't know. Three different people playing her. So one of those people could have been used for that for sure.
Wow. Now, did Juan, her husband, I'm sure he was fully aware of the whole scheme. And yes, again, guys, he was the guy that let in. He was a huge, allegedly, he was a huge fan of the Axis powers in World War II. We can't say the N word, but the bad guy. He was a huge admirer of them and allowed them into Argentina.
He had a lot of issues with that whole thing. So he was part of the dark cult. And this was part of some ritual. So this was like using her or one of her doubles to do this was part of a ritual or a repeated ritual. And yeah, he didn't like it actually. Yeah, he went along with it because he had his arm twisted to go along. And I also get money was exchanged or they let him continue having the kind of wealth he had or whatever. They helped him out of some money trouble, something like that. But he had to go along with this. I don't actually get he was fully on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he had his new wife brushing out this, embalmed. I mean, I said in my video, listen, ladies, if you're married to a man that's making you brush the hair of his late wife's body, you're in a bad marriage. You need to get out of that marriage, hands down. That's a boundary that's broken. So,
but I don't think these families and these people, they don't expect to have a good marriage. Okay, no. They're placed, and she was probably a sex kitten as well.
Oh yeah, because she ended up coming back with Juan. I think Isabella was her name, back with him to Argentina when he was allowed back in, and he became the dictator again. And then when he died, she stepped in and took his place. Yeah. So absolutely. Now, okay, let's talk about the musical. So Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber were the two that did the musical Evita. It was their third hit. They had done Jesus Christ Superstar and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Tim Rice claims that before they wrote this musical, nobody knew who Evita was outside of Argentina. She wasn't famous globally like she is now. And he saw her picture on a stamp when he was a little boy, and he was mesmerized because the only female he had ever seen on a stamp was the Queen, because he's English. And that's why he had to do this play about this woman, Evita. Is that true? Is that story true, or was there a nefarious reason for them to create this play that revolved around her life?
It was a totally made up story.
Knew it. Yeah, knew it.
Yeah, he's actually incredibly narcissistic. I even feel like he was a little hesitant to do it. So he might have even been told, okay, you have to do this.
Tim Rice or Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Both of them. They did it to, oh, sorry, you're asking about, well, the question was around Tim Rice, because the story goes that he went to Andrew, his buddy, that they had done these two blockbuster smash hits in the West End, and now they're going to do this third one. And so he went to his buddy and said, I had this great idea to do this story around this Argentinian first lady and her crazy rags to riches story. And she died so young, and she was called Santa Evita, the saint of the people. Oh, that actually, let's back up a little bit, going back to that. She had an organ. It was totally planned?
It was all just sort of advertising. It was all just to push the whole agenda. So that's how they make money, right? So the story was making the money.
Yeah. I'll ask one more question, and then there's a question I forgot about her life. We'll go back to that. Was the story, is the music in that story, because Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, like Elaine Page played her. We'll get to Madonna soon. A lot of big names. Is the music like a spell? Is it like a spell? Because we all know the music, we sing the music.
That's a big old yes.
We can call them on their crap now. It's just, they've made it so obvious at
and
this
then
point.
I got another yes. So as people continue to sing it and watch it and play it, it can keep working on you. Oh my goodness.
Y'all, if you haven't seen, we'll get to Madonna soon, but let me back up for a second. There was a nonprofit that Eva Perón and Juan Perón ran when they were dictators, basically. The Eva Perón Foundation. They like strong arm. They made people donate, and they say they did some good, but a lot of people say that they actually were funneling money And it sounds a lot like the foundation that's run by, or was run by our dear friend Hillary, which I'm not going to say her last name. That foundation that has ties to that beautiful island where it was owned by Jeff, little Jeffy. Was that foundation, was that run the same way as this other foundation that we have now today that's tied to Haiti? You know,
It looks like it was, the money wasn't going to the, like about 90% of it. So we got a 9.5, yeah. So most of it was being taken elsewhere, like money, but they threw a little bit of coin over, just like, didn't that Hillary's foundation, didn't they build what, 6 houses or something, or 4?
like a smoke screen. Yeah, like, oh, look, we're doing good. Well,
I think it was literally, you could count it on one hand, how many.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, they were working with like really poor stricken communities in Argentina, poverty stricken, and where children are easy.
Yeah.
So I wondered about that they might have been doing the same thing that other organization was doing, allegedly. We'll say allegedly, although we know. Okay, cool. I kind of felt that way. All right, so let's get to Madonna. So Madonna played Eva Perón in, was it 1996 that the movie came out? And apparently she like wrote the director and like begged him that she had to play this role, that she felt like she was Evita, that they were the same. Is there a reason, sinister reason, why they had Madonna cast as Evita? Because we all know about Madonna now. We all know who she is. So,
Oh yeah, it was her karmic. She felt it was her karmic duty. I want to say karmic, or I want to say, let's say this, destined. She felt destined to play, and it was going to give her more clout with the club.
okay.
Bad guys. So it was, yeah, and she did desperately want to do that because it was going to get her ahead somehow. It was some kind of stepping stone for her to get even more abundance and or even more attention in the club. Club being the dark cult.
What about Antonio Banderas? He played the part of Che Guevara in that movie. And in real life, allegedly Che and Evita never crossed paths, but Che just narrated. And I have a feeling he was probably a puppet as well. But I've always wondered about Antonio Banderas. Are you hearing any numbers, Tom, that come up with this?
I got some questions I wanted to ask.
Okay. Argentina, we love you guys, and I thank you so much for emailing us and letting us know that you wanted a deeper exploration into this, because this is truly insightful.
It's really interesting. It keeps saying Antonio's off the earth plane.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. But did he?
Was he?
So that kind of answers it to me. I said, how did he get off the earth plane? It had something to do with the alliance. And somebody brought somebody brought evidence or justice to him.
We know he was allegedly a part of some really high up order in the Catholic Church too. So when I read that, I was like, okay. So I got 2 more questions, then we'll go to Tom. Everybody said that Evita looked a lot like Lady Gaga. Is there any connection between Evita and Lady Gaga?
Well, they were both born male. No, I'm not necessarily getting bloodlines or they're not related and they don't look like clones of each other. Or
And guys, remember, they do things to these people. I mean, they both bleached their hair. They both had very dark eyes. Like that could just be a coincidence. Now, the last question I'm going to ask, in a lot of commentary, and I don't even know how true the commentary is at this point, they talked about Mr. T. When Evita came to New York after it was a success in London, the Americans were very resistant to the play because it glorified like a communistic government. It glorified it, and America was very resistant to that because the opposite of our government system. And apparently, they claimed that Mr. T saw the play like 6 times in a row and claimed to love it. When I heard that, I immediately thought he was studying something. There was something about that he was going to study. Or is it even true? Because we don't even know if anything they say is true or not. So
I actually get he didn't see it, so I'm not seeing that.
Yeah. So they literally, one of the commentaries I listened to, they're like, yes, he saw it 6 times in a row. Maybe he was learning how to be a dictator. And I was like, no,
he didn't see it. That's a big old fat lie.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. They will just brazenly make shit up, won't they? Wow. Okay, so there you go, guys. He never saw it.
Yeah.
All right.
This is him towards it. That looks like he didn't even make it to the show. He's resisting.
He probably already knew at that point exactly what they were up to, let's be honest. So I thought, well, if he went, he might have just been studying it. There was something he was studying. But okay. All right, I'm going to pass it over to you, Tom.
Is Evita E-V-E-T-A or E-V-I-T-A?
E-V-I-T-A.
Okay. So Evita comes to 57, Tesla, Mary, George, and Argentina is 89, which is August.
Oh, we just lost Tom. Let me text him. We lost you.
Shoot.
I'll give him a second to see. I know it's late over there in the UK, but yeah, I will say, guys, if you go now, I honestly, like, even though Madonna's gross and nasty, she did do a really good job in the play, probably because she knew exactly how to play this person, because it sounds like they had very similar lives, legitimately had very similar lives. And if you guys want to go watch the movie version of the musical, it is available on YouTube to watch. You know, I'm not opposed to people. I mean, here's the thing, guys. My boyfriend actually talking about this before he jumped on. In order for us to move forward into a new world where good reigns, we have to understand the dark. We have to understand what happened. We can't ignore it.
Yeah, I agree.
We can't ignore the shadow part of humanity, and this is true in a lot of spiritual paths, especially yoga. You can't ignore the shadow. And so I would suggest people looking at her story. If you're awake and you go back and watch the movie or look at her story, you're gonna like I did, you're gonna all of a sudden like see these red flags of what and notice. The thing about the dark arts is once you figure them out, they tell them themselves. You can see it. It's true. They don't try to hide it. Like, it's all there. So let me see if Tom got back. Let's see if I can get him. Let's see. And then if we can, I appreciate you doing this so much, Janine. I'll let you go because I think Tom just got disconnected. I appreciate you jumping on last minute to do this quick little episode for us. I appreciate it. And to all of our fellow, we can't say the P word anymore because apparently that's not allowed now, but you know what we're talking about, PAT, you know, that word, the movie Mel Gibson did. So all of our brothers and sisters in this fight down in Argentina, we hear you, we see the truth. For everybody's family that contacted me that was affected by this couple and the pronism that happened, we hear you, we see you. And I do believe that we're at the precipice now and everything will come out and everything will be shifted and changed for all of us. So please, Argentina looks like a beautiful, beautiful country. I would love to visit it one day. Hold the line, guys. We're almost there. So any parting words, Janine?
Let's see what the universe wants to say to Argentina.
Okay.
A lot of what you're seeing politically in Argentina is there's a shadow government underscoring your pretend government. So we got Mr. T and the White Hats, some version of them, some group of them. So your people are just puppeted by the good guys at this point, just by the way, and things are going to get a lot better according to the universe for people in Argentina, even though it's been hard. It says in the next 6 months, you're going to see a huge transition. Like I think the world is. I really believe the world is.
Yeah. So hold the line, guys. It's coming.
Time to change it up. Time to the karmic destiny of the world is not to be continued to be ruled by these dark demonics. They're getting the toss.
So you will not have to worry about pronism anymore, you guys. It's gone. That's yesterday's news. So please hold the line, people in Argentina. Anybody, and I know a lot of people from other countries in South America were also affected by them. We hear you, we see you, and it's all good. It's all good. Just, I know it's a frustrating. Janine and I were just talking off camera about like frustrating it is. We just want it to change. So, but it has to eventually. I mean, it's getting to the press.